Nerd on the Podcast is proudly partnered with Apogee Electronics and Odyssey Headphones, leaders in the field of audio.
She goes, snicked!
What is, everyone? Welcome to Nerd on the Podcast you didn't need, but you deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome. I scared my cat. I scared my cat very badly with that, and I hope I didn't scare anyone driving on the road. But welcome. Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome. I would like to start us off here with just saying, in the world of comic books, as much as we love to see a hero save a citizen from harm, there's always a gravitational desire to see where that hero came from. Today, thank you, Tom, for writing that in there, by the way, we explore one issue of Marvel's Origins series with today's marquee topic, Nightcrawler Origins. Start things off, I'm Corey.
I'm Tom.
I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Josh, and this episode is brought to you apart by the members of the Nerd On Nation. That is powered by Patreon. As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun, cool, sweet, awesome.
Wow.
Sexy. Spicy. Silky.
Sunday,
Crunchy, tender, flaky crust.
Savory.
Umami.
All sorts of fun benefits like early access to these episodes. You get bonus episodes that nobody else hears.
Like what? Like the Nerd On Minute?
Like
perhaps?
the Nerd On Minute or the
You don't
Nerd
know
On
what that is?
Extra.
Nerd Extra.
Actually, we never talk about that. So the Nerd On Minute is literally 60 seconds. We go over some sort of topic. Like this past, one of these past ones was, what are you afraid of? And then in the extra, it's usually, huh?
What turns
The
you
answer
on?
to both is rubber ducks.
Yes. So sexy. And then in the
Sweet.
extra,
No king shaming here.
usually it's anywhere between, we've had a 2-hour extra, but they're usually about 20 to 30 minutes where we just talk about something.
I would say
Nothing.
they're kind of like we pull the curtain back a bit and we get real.
There's no formal opening for them either.
Yeah.
No, Josh just
every
starts
time
recording.
I just start recording
He
and
just
go,
starts recording that he's like, hey, everybody. We're like, you started?
It's very Pete Holmes, you made it weird. I don't know
this
if anyone
past
here has listened to
one, just to give you a little bit of a glimpse, this past one, we were going over Tom's resting bitch voice and
Oh,
his
yeah.
resting
Which he definitely
bitch
had.
and then we
text.
just started.
And then we just started. It was fun. But yeah, so
Y'all
check
know what
that out.
it is.
You also get access to secret channels in our Discord server where you have a direct link to us. So do check that out. So nerdon.tv/Patreon and nerdon.tv/Discord. The Discord is growing by the day.
Day
It's a lot of
by
fun.
day.
Day by day.
Everything
Day
is a
by
song.
day.
Yeah, pretty much. And then a big shout out to our partners, Apogee and Odyssey. Apogee makes this wonderful microphone, the Hype mic.
mic right here.
It has great versatility in terms of from Zoom calls to podcasting to streaming to D&D, all sorts of fun stuff.
To hype
Hashtag
beasting.
roll with me.
To hype beasting, yeah. It works both on PC and Mac, and it works on iOS devices. So that's a lot of fun to do. And then
Lot of fun.
Odyssey Headphones. They make. We currently are using their LCD ones. Super comfortable for long recording sessions like we do, hours and hours and hours.
Hours.
It's nice. It's nice and comfortable. They're also open back, so you don't have the pressure of headphones that you normally do that are just like
Easy
covering
access,
your
baby.
head. And they also make
Migraine-inducing.
their gaming headset Mobius, which is a baller headset, and
It's
I can't
amazing.
recommend it enough. But
What do we say?
Huh?
What do we say about their headphones?
Yeah.
Don't leave me hanging on this.
Oh, my God.
I worked really hard on this saying.
Yeah. And this is actually a phrase that Odyssey has recognized, put on their social
officially.
media. If your ears were mouths, they taste like butter.
And it's true. It's true.
Ba-da-ba.
Oh.
I just speak facts.
Yeah, facts. Rock facts.
I'd like to ask a question before we move on to our next segment, Tom. We are covering a comic book today. I was able to read it on paper because I was lucky enough to have a good friend who got it for me. But if people weren't lucky enough to have a good friend who got it for me, the paperback, where could we find this comic?
Boy, I'm glad you asked, because that means we could talk about Comixology. Nerdon.tv/Comixology. It's the best place you can read your comic books and also support us, your favorite podcast that also talks about podcasts. Next to the podcast show that talks about comic books, the Capes Crusaders. But if you don't know where you can get your comic books and there's not a local store that you want to support that's nearby, nerdon.tv/Comixology. It has like a wonderful user interface. You can read comic books on your computer, your laptop, your iPad, your Kindle, your iOS device.
You could support the show and your need for new comics.
Man, I feel like you just put 75 cents into the Tom Shilling machine.
I did.
And
I did.
you just went.
Hey,
Yeah,
it works.
You got the bang for your buck.
The energy, like that went. That was a good 75 cents.
If you use nerdon.tv
/Comixology.
Oh my God.
Money's worth. Anyway, where are we going now, Tom? Where's this train taking us?
This is interesting, right? So this is a part of an origin series that Marvel did a few years back. Because, everyone wanted to have an origin film for everything, but the characters that they were like, oh, we can't make a franchise out of this guy, got these things. So X-Men in particular, which I think that's the thing about X-Men characters is like, you never get an origin story for everybody, but they all do have their own origins. And that being said, this one book it's a one shot. So it's all contained of this one origin, which is in the anthology of origins. Nightcrawler. So right now we're going to go and go around the digital screens if you're not watching on YouTube, but you should be. And we're going to see who's going to have the lowest rating at the end of the episode, which is the segment called
Guess That
Grump. And
Who's going to be the grump? Will it be Corey?
The circus, and now he's not in the circus anymore.
Who's going to be
just
the grump? Is it going to be Corey?
a man of the cloth.
Okay, so if you're brand new to Nerdon, welcome.
You're welcome.
And if you're brand new to Guess That Grump, well,
You're also welcome.
So this is right now where we're going to go around the digital screens and guess who's going to have the lowest score from 0 out of 5. No matter how high the number is, the lowest one will be the grump for the week. And since I immaculately explain it every time the same way that's written on the script that I don't write down, I'm going to go first. And I'm going to guess that it will be Caitlin. When there's no Ollie, Caitlin's the one that has the lowest scores.
I'm the C on the Scantron. That's what it becomes?
You are literally a C in your first name, so yeah.
Okay.
And your last name. And even in your handle, there's a C.
That's true.
So you're just C's across.
Caitlin, who you
Seize
got?
the day. I think it's going to be Josh.
Oh,
See? That's what that feels like.
interesting.
Josh, who you got?
No, Caitlin,
Interesting.
no.
I think it's gonna be Caitlin. That is not a spite vote. That is
Are you
just.
sure? Are you sure?
This is tough because I think, in a good way, I think Tom is more critical of comics.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of his knowledge pool and what he can, compare them or stand them up against as far as other comic books go. However, I know Mark Bernardin wrote this, and it has some very Mark Bernardin-y stuff, which I know Tom likes as well. So I'm gonna say Caitlin.
I knew.
I knew.
On the first hesitation.
I
that
tell
were
you what,
going to
I did
choose
not
me.
until it came out. To be fair, it was between you and Josh.
I knew.
I knew.
I was
Caitlin,
like
you don't sound
I was
happy
flipping
about it.
coins in my head, and then they just happened to one more. Caitlin came up than a Josh.
Caitlin than Josh.
The Nerd on Nation has spoken, and here's why. Josh, they picked you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So,
Okay.
Well then.
it'll be Tom and Corey with no votes, and then Josh, then Caitlin.
Huh. Well.
And that's the way we do things around here.
Equalize. That being said, now we'll move into
Guess
the
that
next.
grump, the
later.
great equalizer.
So if they get it right, then they will become that guess that grumper grass-fed Gatorade drinking
That's
guardian.
right. If you would like to participate in polls, join the Nerd On Nation today, and you can be the grumper grass-fed Gatorade, gluten-free,
Thank you for that.
Free,
But
baby. Whole
gaslighting grumper.
gaslight, not that one. That one's got to go.
Anyway,
Gotham City.
yeah.
So now from there, we're going to move on to our next segment, which is going to be the complete spoiler of that, which is our initial reactions and our first impressions. Let's have Corey be the last one for drama's sake. How about you, Caitlin, since everyone thinks that you're going to be the grump?
I loved it.
She throws up middle fingers and is like,
I hate everyone.
Censor bars.
She goes, snicked.
No, I'm always a sucker for the like, you know, the like kind of you're the sideshow freak who gets away and finds people who actually care about you, and when your past comes back to bite you, those people who you've now surrounded yourself with are still sticking up for you. And even the people from your past that stuck up for you back then will still stick up for you. So I loved it. It's great. Art was great. I only wish there was more. Ting.
Now you can start reading Nightcrawler comic books that came up
Tom?
in that time frame.
The
about
giant
you?
size one that came out this year is fucking amazing, by the way. Just
Interesting.
want to say.
Josh has
Sidebar
passed
later.
the torch to me. I bought this for Corey.
Yep.
Oh,
So for me, I was like, "Ooh, Nightcrawler Origin! The guy that likes the Colossus and the Nightcrawler."
man, Tom's impression of himself is uncanny.
Oh my god, guys!
wow.
You guys don't know this about me. But,
Tom knows my top 3 X-Men.
yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, it's
You just said
you
two
know,
of
for
them.
some reason, every single person was like, it's not ironic because he also really likes that character. I was gonna say, oh, he likes Forge, and
No, but I do like Forge.
that's what I was like, that's not ironic. His favorites are, I was gonna say Rogue, but that's also not ironic because he loves Gambit. So, anyways, so for me, my initial reaction for this, it's a one-off. It's a one-shot. You can't ask more for it. Other than it's like the Zero issue. Like DC Comics did a lot of Zero issues, which and Scott Snyder ended up doing a whole Zero year. I think he did that. No, Greg Capullo definitely drew it. But anyways, it's that story that like I think the people who want an origin story love, but for someone like me who's just like, tell me a story, I'll figure it out. Typically we've read this isn't our first X-Men book, so Logan. New Mutants, they all did their own, they cleaned up after themselves of like Logan, aka Wolverine, has metal adamantium claws and healing factor. Every comic book typically has their own version of telling you what you need to know so that you can read the story. And so this is just like a very, cinematic way of telling, Nightcrawler's, origin for this timeline. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot. And it makes you have the heartstrings pull of like, oh, this is why this character is so pious and so, forgiving. And in anything, it's a miracle why this character is such the kind-hearted character that you read in the comic books and you see on screen. And it leaves off in a place where you're like, If it's just a story that's just focused on Kurt Wagner, then I would love to see it. We get the X-Men, but the X-Men from the perspective of Kurt would be great, or the X-Men in perspective of Wolverine would be great. So
Yeah.
For me, this was a first in a couple of ways. I've never read, at least I don't think so. Anything Mark Bernardin. So this was a first in that, and I've never read anything that was focused on Nightcrawler. Specifically, he's always been kind of like a side character or just involved with the team or
With the group, in the group books or whatever.
So this was nice because even with the books that we've done, even for this show or when he's appeared in movies, and even when I was a kid, like I only had one X-Men action figure. and it was Nightcrawler.
Oh, shit.
And Nightcrawler has always just been a very interesting character to me. And so this was really, I didn't know any form of his origin story either. So it was interesting to read this. And then at the end of what I read, there was was it like the original? So it was part of the original scene.
Oh,
of like
I think it was kind of like one of his first appearances.
Yeah, and I thought that was really cool too. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was one of those like, oh, it's done. Damn it! Like
it's one issue.
It happened so quick.
Yeah, and it's only a couple dozen pages, and you're like, well, shit.
I know.
And then they changed. They have since changed and foregone these origin story comic books as one shots instead of canon.
Oh,
which
really?
is unfortunate as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what will happen is that someone will do a one shot, and then if it's really well received, they'll just like, all right, cool, that's in the canon now.
But also, like, it made me kind of explore a little bit more of who some of these characters become eventually, like his mom, who she become, and you're like, there's so much lore.
Oh, his like real mom or his Carney mom.
Carney mom and real mom, right?
Mhm.
Like it's still, I feel like there's a lot. I don't know. I don't know all of it.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it
yeah.
in the episode.
Yeah.
Caitlin?
I said I like.
You know what? I feel like it's so long time ago. This
She liked the art. She liked the
this quarantine.
Yeah, I
So it's
like.
my
I
turn.
like everything about it. It was good.
For me, I read this when Tom got it for me. What was that, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
I feel like
Longer than that.
I got it for
We
you
were
for
at
a
Apple
present,
still.
right?
Yeah, I think we were still at Apple. So
Yeah.
At the beginning
5 years
of time.
ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, I read it then, and obviously I'm pretty biased. I loved it. I think at the time I didn't know who Mark Bernardin was, and getting to go back and reread it now that I know who he is was very exciting as well, and seeing little signs of being like, oh yeah, this is totally, these certain twists or certain ideas are put in are very evident if you've listened to him talk about movies or the conversations him and Kevin have talked about, where he goes, okay, well, how would you have done this? And then Mark Bernardin spins this amazing fucking tale, and Kevin Smith's always just like, Jesus Christ, I wish that was a movie. I want to watch your movie.
Shut the fuck up! It's like giving away good ideas.
Yeah.
So just to give you everyone a little bit of a palette of who Mark Bernardin is, it's not a spoiler or anything like that, but like everyone, we all seen the Spider-Verse, right? Everyone knows Miles Morales. That would not really kind of have happened if Mark Bernardin did not write for the Hollywood Reporter. And when he wrote for the Hollywood Reporter, they said, hey, can you do an op-ed? And he's like, can I do anything? And he said, let's do anything you want. He's like, cool, I want to do about Spider-Man and why he no longer should be no longer be a white kid. Because the story is really much more about like, how an average person who's given this great power and what he does with it. And if anything, it could be about inner city kids and why wouldn't it be a black kid if not mixed? And then later on, Brian Michael Bendis created Miles Morales, and he took the kind of likenesses from Donald Glover. And so he made this character, and there is this long history in that sense. So talking about the importance
Hashtag Donald for Spider-Man.
Yeah, the importance of who Mark Bernardin is like kind of like Josh saying, like you didn't realize like there's so much that's hidden within the history of character creation. But Mark Bernardin also, so he wrote for Playboy for a while, Hollywood Reporter, and then wrote for Alphas and other TV shows, Castle Rock. I think he's doing episodes now on Star Trek or the Picard series. And he wrote Highwaymen and then Genius. He also did, we'll talk about it later on in the production. But so he's a big name in the nerd lore for those who may not know.
Yeah, I only knew him as like the co-host with Kevin Smith. Like I've seen those conversations.
Fat Man Beyond.
Yeah. So I mean that's all it just hasn't happened. And now
He's
it
got
does.
Josh, you would love this. He's got a podcast with Trisha Helfer on for Battlestar Galacticast.
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, hey man. Okay, Josh likes Dexter, Paddington, and Battlestar.
Yeah,
so
And that's
sounds
it.
right.
I don't
That's
like
the only
anything
three
else.
Only
Nothing
game he
else.
likes, Final Fantasy.
Well, Walking
only,
Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Walking
only
Dead
book he
also.
likes, Walking Dead.
But that moves us along to our next
Segment, which is going to be our brief synopsis and then our production. And our brief synopsis will be given to us by
Joshua.
It'll be me.
Sweet baby
just
Josh.
A second. It
Josh,
took me a minute to find it, and now
Sweet
I
baby
delicious
Josh.
husband of Bonnie.
Sweet baby Josh.
Yes. Okay. So, brief synopsis brought to you by me, and
Sweet
it
Josh.
reads: The X-Men Origins continue with your favorite German mutant, Nightcrawler. Relive his early days as a trapeze artist in Germany. Witness the first time he teleported and see the events that made him the hero he is today. And scene.
Amazing.
It's
And now
crazy.
the production will be given to you by me, Tom.
The people.
So the publication is Marvel Comics, who gave us the huge things that we all seen, like Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. You guys all know that one, right?
I knew it was coming.
right.
If you guys don't know, in who's listening, she is actually the smartest person in the Marvel universe. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. The Sentry, you guys all know the Sentry, yeah, right?
Of course.
and Silk, we all know Silk.
Yeah.
I do.
The fabric,
Actually.
yes.
But you guys will. In all eventuality, you guys will all know who those characters are.
I do know
The
who
writers,
Silk is.
Adam Freeman, who did things such as The Authority, Hero Complex, and Monster Attack New York Network. Mark Bernardin, The Highwayman, which is behind me, if you're not seeing it on a video. Genius, which I think I also have, and some issues of Static Shock. Artists, Carrie Nord, who did Exo Manowar, Mutant X, and Star Wars. James Herron, who's done work on Ape Sapien, Deceased, Josh, and Conan the Barbarian. Colorist, Chris Sotomayor, done work on Miss Marvel, Incredible Hulk, and Supreme Power. Letterer, Dave Sharp, who's done work on Monstrous, Caitlin, and Dark Ark and Deadpool. Publication date for this issue in particular was March 24th, 2010. Series orders part one, or one part of the Origin series. And the copy sold is unlisted because they don't really keep track of just one issue copies and stuff like that.
That's fair.
So that's it. That brings us to our next few parts, which are going to be our favorite parts, favorite characters, our qualms, and then finally our rating. So now we're in spoiler full carnival today.
Yes, we are.
So let's talk about it. Who got favorite parts?
The mom's story
That's my favorite
that
part.
she tells to him
The juxtaposition between like what's actually happening and what she's saying.
and how like loving it is and how wonderful and
He knows it's lies.
oh yeah.
No, that's what it says.
100%.
It literally says it in the corner. He
Yeah.
knows these are lies.
Yeah. But
You're just like,
just that like that's his form of comfort and knowing it's a lie. And
Mhm.
the way she tells it and it's like heartbreaking but really great.
Yeah.
One thing I really like about it is like there is this sense of pure human purity. I think of like a mother has towards a child, and a child that's not even her own.
Mm.
It's kind of like what I think Guillermo del Toro did really well with Hellboy and Professor Broom, where like there is this,
Mhm.
sentient being that does not look like us and has, very different features from our eyes, but it knows to be more human than we know. And I think that's really hit really well with this moment that the mother kind of is like, I took you in and
Mhm.
you are my child. And there is that, love. One of my favorite parts is where we learn why Nightcrawler Kurt is so religious.
Yeah.
And it's because it's why one of the few depictions you see in modern media now showing the positivity that religion can bring. And that there's people of the cloth who do use religion as a positive light in the world. So I really like that. For me who's like born into religion, not really theistic, it's like agnostic, atheistic to a degree. I really respect the positivity religion can bring people under the scope of looking at it critically you know. So that being said, like understanding that the different beliefs and how positive it can work on people. So when you see it done well, it's really nice. Like with like Daredevil too. So
Yeah.
Other favorite parts?
I mean, overall, the artwork, specifically the colors, they're just so striking, especially when there's like fire. When there's fire on the page, or when he bamfs, like that purple, and even his color, the like turquoise blue color, like it's just everything is just so, it pops so much. But like going through it, I was just like, man, this is such a beautiful book. Like I just had that was one of my main experiences of like, and because it's so short, it's easy to read 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
And so it's just like it's a joy to just go through the pages. But I mean, the thing that strikes me the most is like every time fire was on the page, I'm like, holy shit, that is
So cool.
that is beautiful. Like just the mixture of colors, and like there's a full page, like get that devil child when he's running through the forest, and it's almost a full page of just fire. It's in the church scene. It's pretty.
Corey?
I mean, 2 of mine were said: the art style and the story about the mother. Getting to see Mystique a little bit is always a lot of fun. I got to give a shout out. Anytime Professor X freezes people, it's always a good feeling, especially when he's just about ready to give up and die. He's starting to say his, the Lord's Prayer. And then all of a sudden nothing happens. And he's like, what the fuck? And it's Professor X. He's like, you're a good dude. And it's part of the reason I've always loved Nightcrawler is he has every reason, even more so than the other mutants almost. Maybe Beast would be the other one. But even the original Beast looked human. He has every reason to hate humans. And yet he's the one who, aside from, I would say, Professor X, is willing to give humans every single chance they have to show the good that he's like sure of is inside them because of these few incidences he's had of good people helping him in the past, which is why he takes on the name Wagner, which is like a great twist as well. And then him getting his powers for the first time. Always super fun to see when it manifests within mutants, always under great stress, obviously. And having it be I can only imagine it's such a shocking power because like those are literally, when he teleports, he literally goes through hell and comes out a different portal on the other side, which is why you get all the sulfur and stuff like that. So that
Brimstone.
As a first time having that happen to you, he handles it very well. Where he's just like, hey, I've been through hell. It's fine. This is nothing. The real hell is nothing. I mean, from start to finish, like you said, Josh, it's quick. It's easy to absorb. Every single image in this is really beautifully done. One of the images that stood out to me that I kept staring at was when he gets knocked unconscious for the first time. And it's the image of like the strong guy. And then it starts to blur and there's like 3 or 4 of them on the screen. I think the way that the effect is done is really, really well because all the lines, it's the same image, but all the lines soften on their faces and then 2 more kind of appear almost translucent on top of it. It's really, really nice piece of art. So, yeah.
Man, in the church, when he shows up for the first time up in the rafters, like the experience that the preacher feels is so, like, it's so horror movie. But and the way that he handles it is so perfect. He's like,
welcome.
Well, hello there.
Yeah.
Like he's so calm about it. And you know that he wants to freak out, but he's like, this has a purpose and I'm not going to panic right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really love that.
He's like, there's a blanket and a cot. It's all yours if you just come on down.
Yeah.
Another aspect of this that I liked, it's later in the book. One thing that I've never experienced with Nightcrawler is he's normally just so very nice and kind, and it was nice to get kind of
He has his moments, dude.
Yeah, I haven't experienced that. So with this, like at the end when he's got the
Upper hand.
circus guy like up like this, and you just see his eyes, and he just looks fucking terrifying. I've never experienced that, so it was really
It's
neat
usually
to see that.
much like it happens because other people get hurt. It's never that people are hurting him usually.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happens, right? They hurt the
father.
priest and the kid, his brother.
Yeah.
But
But the way that he drew the way that they represented, I mean, he just looks like pure evil. And
Well,
like
he has
his
a little bit of
eyes, like,
animalistic.
yeah.
His ears go down a little bit, kind of like a cat when they get aggravated. There's one part that I really loved in that sequence was it's the priest who's saying like, don't sacrifice your soul.
Mhm.
And it's that, again, reinforcement of like, it's kind of like if there was you could probably look this back and see every, origin story of Superman of like the Kents telling Superman to not use his powers to kill people. And it's like that sense where it's like this reinforcement of like who Kurt is because of the goodwill of people becoming the dominant things that he incorporated into his life. And there is that wonderful message of X-Men of they are treated so terribly, yet it's the positive reinforcement that they hold on to.
Mhm.
Unless your name's Wolverine, so I don't know.
One last for me anyway, but one last favorite part is the very last line when he says that man is gone. And he says his new name, Kurt Wagner. I just think that's really, really cool as he leaves that life behind and like embraces kind of who he potentially can be and all.
100%.
But if you think about it, like Magneto is also, growing his brotherhood. And so imagine if Magneto showed up there instead and said, do it, Kurt Zardos, oh, you know what I mean? Like he totally could have. And it's just that intervention of Xavier's altruism, showing up versus Magneto's like entitlement of like, no, they did you wrong. You have all the right to destroy them.
Yeah.
So crazy. Any other favorite parts before we go to favorite characters?
Yeah, I mean, I have one art thing that I really loved. Pulling it up here so I can hold it up to the screen because it's hard to explain. Just one panel. I'm a huge fan, obviously, of the colors that Nightcrawler gets to play with.
Oh yeah,
and this frame right here did it for me.
I was just like looking at it.
Nerd on colors.
The purple and the blacks and blues and stuff. And that's right before the moment where he's like, all right, you want to get up and close and personal, huh? And just grabs him and takes him to the top of the church. But that frame, I stared at that for a good long time. And I was like, it's so pretty. It's so beautiful.
Pretty.
I'd love to kind of open up a conversation of people that know more about this. Can you guys, Tom or Corey or whoever,
between the two of them,
between the two of you guys,
it ain't gonna be me.
Can you go into a little bit of like some of these characters that you might not know, like they go on to be this person or that character or that kind of thing? Like,
well, so the mom ends up being Mystique.
Which I actually didn't know because I thought that was like part of the constructed lie at first. I didn't recognize that that's who that was when it was happening.
No, so that's Mystique. Yeah. And the dude...
His dad's Azazel.
Yeah, the dad's a demon. Like a legit demon from hell who is meant to come to Earth or to this realm, have kids, and then make an army on this earthly plane.
Mm-hmm. Azazel, his dad. And he can teleport, and he's all red and has the tail and everything. Yeah. He's really great in First Class. Did a really great job
for the short amount of time he's in there.
Yes, very short amount of time, but the depiction of it was pretty amazing. But yeah, his dad's a real demon, and his mother's Mystique, which is why he can travel through hell.
And that's the thing with the Azazel can't stay in this plane of existence for too long, and that's why Nightcrawler is used in his stories within that sense of like you can go in between both worlds.
Mm-hmm. He's the Daywalker.
He's the Daywalker.
He's Blade.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I mean, Kurt is dope. He becomes like a pirate king in some places, and we did, right? We did God Loves Man. No, we did the God Loves Man Kills, and we did House and Powers.
Yeah.
And so like, there's that sense, but that's the thing with the X-Men lore with Chris Claremont, totally made it into a soap opera where everyone is connected somehow and there's relationships operating on very different levels, where it's like Mystique is part of the Brotherhood of Evil or Brotherhood of Mutants. And
I was like, not evil.
Yeah.
They're not evil. That's the tough part.
No, yeah. I mean, I think Brotherhood of Evil was translated into the kids' cartoon. But yeah, the Brotherhood and, her son is part of Xavier's, institute. So it's.
And they actually have a relationship, a rocky one. Yeah. But they don't hate each other in the comic books. Mystique.
Yeah, I didn't know
like he still calls him mom.
I didn't know it related to Mystique at all.
That's You want to know some also kind of cool? Hardcore X-Men fans know this. Do you know in the animated series, or in every other iteration of Rogue, she can fly and has super strength? But she also can touch and get people's abilities and memories. Caitlin, do you know where that comes from?
Where?
Yeah,
because she absorbed Captain Marvel's powers for like hella long, and it became permanently part of her.
Oh,
so that's why she can fly and has super strength. Is because she absorbed Captain Marvel. And Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, in the comic books, was in a coma for like years. The character is like, you're in a coma. They just like stopped writing her because that's what they did. Because
at the time, X-Men was huge too.
X-Men was huge, and Captain Marvel couldn't sell comic books, so they put her in comic book issues. And then when they wanted to stop writing her into the books, Rogue did the thing. She's in a coma. And it wasn't until like pretty recently, like I say recently, or to me, Mark Millar's Civil War is recent to me in my mind. So until pretty recently.
What was that, 2007?
That was like 2005, 2006. And so she came out of a coma and she was Miss Marvel and she was Iron Man's number 2.
Yeah.
So it's,
the other thing that they allude to in the comics, but I love how they handled it in the movie, actually, X2, which I didn't think I would say, is Kurt's admiration of Mystique and why she doesn't just choose to not look like the way she does all the time. Because if he could choose to not look like a blue demon, he would. And they have an interesting, I appreciate, especially in the movies, her relationship with that being like, well, why shouldn't I look the way I do? It's not my fault that people aren't, evolved enough to accept for who I am. And so I do this despite what happens. And it's an interesting balance. Yeah.
Which plays into First Class. It's the meme. It's perfection.
Yeah. So that's his mama. You should check out. Did you read anything on Azazel?
No. Me?
No, Josh, because I know he said he was looking into some stuff a little bit. But you should check him out.
Okay.
He's cool. He's a cool dude.
Favorite character?
Like there's a lot of cool things in X-Men. Like Juggernaut isn't strong because he's a mutant.
Mm-hmm.
Juggernaut's strong because he has Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange gets his abilities in the comic books because he makes deals with entities outside of their realms. And so like there is Sidorak. He is a god entity of strength and power. And Juggernaut actually channels, he is like the totem for Sidorak.
The helmet.
And so there is that sense of like, he is also like Doctor Strange where he uses magical
It's
powers.
a gem.
Yeah.
That he has.
So like, that was one thing that the animated series I think did really, really well. That they were like, this is that weird thing that in the comic books that people may not understand translated into something that's digestible.
Right.
So,
and other people have become like Colossus for a while was the avatar of Sidorak, and he had the Juggernaut helmet and basically was unstoppable. Like they were doing some analysis, I forget what it was, but Hulk wouldn't even be able to stop him. Like he was
that's the thing. Yeah, with Juggernaut, if he starts, then there's literally none stopping him. So.
Yeah. So then you put that power on Colossus, who's already made of impenetrable steel. It was nuts. It was a wild read to see Colossus's helmet Juggernaut's helmet on Colossus. It was weird, and he wasn't like totally good either.
No, and the thing about X-Men to think about is like there's a lot of like what this is. So we had we had Demon Bear Saga, right? So there's like some sense of a demon spiritualism kind of stuff going on. There is gods like Sidorak, and there's also the oh god, I forget the name, but they're the aliens that Xavier has a relationship with.
Oh yeah,
that are like bird people.
Yeah,
but. That's the thing where like there's a lot more than just like, oh, we're mutants and we're on Earth, and these are like X-Men was the one that really blew things up into like, well, now we deal with celestials and we deal with, like gods and we deal with demons. We deal with things that live under the ground. So it became this vehicle that just like anything was if we wanted to bring in like Medusa and how her kid
X-Men.
could possibly be a mutant, like X-Men. Like, so.
X-Men it, baby.
Yeah.
Nice.
Favorite
characters?
Yes, favorite characters. Other than the titular character, is it even possible for this thing? I feel like you can do two.
Professor X then. Professor X is.
Like
I was gonna say Kurt.
Father Wagner.
I was gonna say Kurt, but no.
Well, you can do two. Kurt is one. I mean, everyone has that, right?
Kurt,
Everyone
yeah,
has
for
Kurt.
sure.
Kurt.
But I would say his like foster mom, adopted mom,
Yeah. She's pretty
because she put up with a lot and still busted him out.
Yeah, and she was like willing to get beat up for him
Yup.
to survive. Like he needs us. But I would say
if we can do Kurt, then then it's Kurt and Wagner. Kurt and Father Wagner. Yeah. Otherwise, it's Professor S and Professor S.
Professor S.
Professor S.
Professor S, the little
Professor
the
S,
little known.
everyone's favorite.
well
Father Wagner,
on his
Professor
planet,
X,
the S means something else.
Yes.
Hope.
Stands for X.
Yeah.
S means X on my planet.
Wow.
For me, Kurt Wagner. Not Kurt Wagner. The Father Wagner. Father Wagner.
Father Wagner.
Yeah,
Kurt Wagner.
Kurt
Wagner.
Sarados. That's
so
him.
your favorite. So far, all our favorites are both the Wagners and then the mother.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, I like the evil circus guy.
No.
At this point, even I, who love evil characters, like he's not even like evil. He's
racist.
just like an asshole.
Yeah.
He's like a racist asshole.
He's greed and gluttony all wrapped into one.
Like I like Apocalypse. He's just like survival of the fittest. If you die, not my problem.
The angry
Tom
cloud.
just established there's a difference between being evil and an asshole. There's just a difference.
Apocalypse. The thing about Apocalypse and Magneto is they're not evil.
It's true.
They're more than anything.
They're skewed in their.
Magneto.
I would say Magneto's not even skewed.
To me,
It's just a
Magneto's not
different
evil,
approach.
but Apocalypse is kind of evil.
I would say Apocalypse is just
Old fashioned.
no,
He's survivalist.
apathetic. He's not evil. He's just apathetic. He doesn't care.
Apathy can be.
He's like, there's greater
callous.
things.
It's kind of like saying that
greater things
Thanos
at
isn't
work.
evil.
He's not evil.
See, it's the scale. It's the
Thanos
scale.
isn't evil either. Apocalypse and Thanos are more so. Thanos thinks he's really doing good, where Apocalypse is saying this has to happen, and I don't give a shit.
And that's the thing where it's like evil, I guess, in a sense. It's like horror, right? It's like it doesn't have to be a scary movie, but there's horrific things. You don't have to be an evil person, but you could do evil things.
Sure. Yeah.
And Apocalypse
Magneto
and Thanos,
doesn't do evil things.
and
though.
and Magneto has done evil things.
Sure, for the sake of.
I like Magneto's my number one, like my number 2 favorite Marvel character. So I'm just saying,
Yeah.
because I mean but that's just good character.
He's your number
right?
2 Marvel character?
Yeah, number 1 Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
Number 1 Spider-Man. Number 2 is Magneto all day.
Magnet Boy.
Because they both are different parts. It's like Peter Parker's like, I'm poor. I know how it is. And
Wow.
Magneto's like, I know how it is. Anyways, past favorite parts, favorite characters, qualms. Yes, Josh. You want to go first?
Sure. First, I have none. And then
Okay.
second,
I
it
want
ended.
Yeah.
It
Man, I
ended.
feel like I'm just gonna go ahead and jump on that train of both number 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Copy and paste.
Tom?
For the story, I get it. You can't go into what is the machinations of this carnival guy, which is why I didn't pick him. And he's just like a little two-dimensional, which is like, you have to. Like, there has to be this character who has to overcome these situations, which is Nightcrawler. And you have to have an antagonistic force. And I'm assuming, again, it's just for the origin story. It's fucking 30 pages. We give me the Odyssey. And I need to know why the villain.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Yeah, so like that's one thing to pull away from. It's like the villain's kind of who gives a shit. Like he's just an evil asshole, which is the embodiment of the human challenges that all mutants are going to come across of this bigoted asshole xenophobe. So it's the qualm not qualm thing.
Yeah.
If there's
I feel
something
like
to pick apart, this is it.
that there's like nothing to really qualm about, and that's the qualm.
Well, I mean, that's the thing where it's like you could talk about Mad Max Fury Road, and it's like, what's a qualm? And it's like some people may not like that it's that action packed.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Where it's like that's your fault, really, not the film's fault.
Yeah.
Like for the story, this makes sense. But if you're gonna want to cry about something and be a little bitch, then you'd be like, the villain's not flashed out.
I love how Tom always takes like a concept and is like, "You're the worst. You're the baby."
Well, this is to the people who don't want to come meet things where they are. They want things to be what they want instead. And that's the thing where it's like, well, then you be the artist and you make the story.
Right.
In my mind. You know, like, and this is coming from like, I don't know. This is me. Like how things you want, but you know, people's opinions are people's opinions.
That's true.
Go ahead, Corey.
I only have one. And it's that he kind of left his mom and sister at the carnival, didn't go back.
Yeah.
You know, he teleported his, I mean, maybe he would have done it after everything, right? But I think it was also tough that, I mean, I get why he took Wagner and I like the writing from it, but his mom and siblings sacrificed a lot to get him out of there. And it felt weird that he just kind of gave that name up. But I also, I mean, you know what I mean? In a memory of them, I feel like Kurt's the kind of character who would have kept it, I guess. In the original Origins, it's the Wagner family is part of the circus. And so this was a change for the comic. And I guess I've always, for me, it felt weird as a fan of Nightcrawler and know how much he cares and loves people. It felt weird for me that he would take the priest's name, and I know he brought him in and didn't judge him, but his family didn't judge him either and brought him in the same way and cared for him his entire life.
Did it feel a little, what's your name? Skywalker.
Yeah, a little bit.
Next time he meets another family, you know,
he'll take
he's
that.
gonna
He's
his
like,
last name is gonna
Kurt
be like
Xavier.
Kurt Xavier.
Yeah.
Like
but yeah, that's
with last names.
It left a weird taste in my mouth. That whole thing, and I liked the idea of being like, this is my name now. But
I think to your point,
it would have been cool if he didn't have a last name
already,
and then he took Wagner.
Yeah.
In memory.
Well, it's kind of like his family, the family that the mom and brother were the ones that gave him the name Kurt.
Right.
And then the last name is what the father gave him instead of having a full first and last name.
Ooh, that would have been good.
That I feel like that's like I don't know, within these two writers of like, we got that, you know, there has to be a kind of a cool line that makes you feel like, oh, now this is the Kurt Wagner we know, blah, blah.
Yeah, no, and I like that. It's just, I wish it was related back to the family somehow, because I feel like they did what the priest did.
It's my rewrite.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. So that's it. That's my only qualm.
Now for rating.
Yeah.
Who's first?
Me and you.
Oh shit, you.
No, you.
Okay.
A little suspense. I have my number, but
I would say it's a 4.7.
Oh. Shit, that's what I wrote. 4.7.
I think Caitlin was wanting me to have 4.6. I say 4.7 because it's fantastic. It's wonderful. It's easy, digestible. You can bite it into it. You're done before you know it. But it's not going to be something be like, oh my god, oh, did you see the work of, like, you know, you're not going to be over the moon.
Did you read Jonathan Hickman's House and Powers?
It doesn't, and that's, I think, because of the brevity of it. It has just enough for it to be great, but not enough. Like, it's not long enough for it to be a fucking,
yeah.
You know,
I think this is, anyone who's interested in like getting into Nightcrawler, this is a great jumping off point. And it does, that's exactly what it's supposed to be. That's exactly what it's meant to do.
There's part of me that wants like to have like Disney Channel programming where you can get these, you know, stories of like, you know, racism and xenophobia are bad, and teach kids like, you know, because you look different, because you are different, you sound different, you know, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person, or doesn't
should be
mean
celebrated rather than
we can accept these things and celebrate it. That I think this would fit very well into, like, you know, kind of like a Wishbone, like this is the new story every day.
And well, it's wishbone. Anyway,
Who's next?
Josh would be next.
I am going to give this a 4.8.
Ooh.
Okay, Kaylin,
You know
round
what's
us off
fun-
here.
You know what's funny?
It's 4.7.
It's 4.8.
Oh, shit.
Only because
Nerd
I
on
wanted
Nation.
more
up.
out of it. But that's to the point that it was maybe be like when it was done too quick.
So no one voted for Corey, but Becca A, you voted for Tom
Good
as the
job.
Grump. So me and
Got
Tom
my
were the
number.
Grumps at 4.7.
Grump at a 4.7. I see how it is.
Yeah.
Nice.
See how it is.
What are you gonna do?
Nice.
It's your favorite too.
But I want to hear what the listeners
This is not my
think.
favorite X-Men comic. That's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but your boy. Your
I
boo
want to
boy.
hear the listeners on what other X-Men or Marvel comic books that we should read. Because I think that'd be dope, and if there's a chance for us to probably lift the veil of, what the mainstream people know versus what, we
I mean, I
glean
have
from
some
it.
X-Men stuff you shouldn't read.
Yeah, it's kind of like now we're able to do a good comparison between Old Man Logan comic book and the Logan movie. Like this is what happened in the book. None of that happened in the movie.
Y'all should be reading Marauders. Just saying.
Marauders. That's with
The
Red
new
Queen.
Marauders.
Yeah. Oh,
With what?
with the Red Queen,
I think yeah.
Catherine.
Yes.
I'm trying not to
Sorry.
spoil it. I'm just trying.
I
not
got
to spoil it.
confused. Yes, it is with
Ooh.
the Red Queen. Y'all should be
Oof.
reading Marauders. The new series is fantastic,
Hmm.
by the way.
Hmm. I do kind of like is it Excalibur? No. What's the one with the Cyclops and Cable?
That, I think, is just X-Men.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's pretty.
I think that's the X-Men proper.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Because the first issue of the X-Men proper focuses on the Summers family.
Okay, yeah. It focuses a
space.
little bit on Krakoa, on what's there. Anyways,
Oh, yeah.
Josh, sing us out.
Anyways, first of all, thank you so much for listening or watching if you're on YouTube. If you have read this issue, let us know your thoughts. Reach out to us on social media, slip and slide in those DMs, or stop by that Discord that I was talking about, nerdon.tv/Discord. There is a comic section in there, so check that out. Really, there's a section for everything. And the community over there are really cool people. I dig them a lot, and it's always hopping over there, and I dig it. If you are new to Nerd On, welcome. Bienvenue.
Hi.
Check out our website, nerdon.tv. It has all the information and all the linky links to everything that we do, from YouTube to Twitch. There's even some old articles, and all of our episodes are there, including episodes for our other show, the Nerd On Update, and the Capeless Crusaders. Shout out to them.
We also have Mandalorian. We have more.
Yeah,
Mandalorian.
we've got a whole bunch of stuff that we have done and continue to do. So do check that out, nerdon.tv. Stop by, rate and review us, share us with your friends and your family. That kind of stuff does help us grow, getting the word out. Yeah, that is
True
it.
dat.
You know the drill. As always, nerd on.
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.
All right. Hold on. My cat's taking a shit. So we'll hold for shit.
Holding for shit.
Are you done? Are you done?
I'm pooping.